Are you curious about what it's like to live in Lilydale full-time year-round? Then this is the show for you. Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. It also goes out on my YouTube channel and the Lilydale Facebook page. And I encourage you to look back at the archive videos of the show because this is year 7 of Wednesdays with Willa. I've had lots of great guests throughout the years, wonderful topics relating to spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, and more. And I would encourage you to take a look at the lilydaleassembly.org website. They do have the 2024 summer season program of events listed there with the workshops that are coming up. You can go ahead and get registered online for those, and people are already booking their readings with the mediums of their choice and the guest houses and all of those great things. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you my special guest today, one of my favorite people, Nancy Lombardo.
Hi. Hi.
It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me always. Yes. Once a year gathering.
Yes, yes. And she doesn't have to go far because she's my immediate neighbor. And so it's like she literally just comes right on over and we're doing the show. And Nancy Lombardo, for those of you who don't know who she is, she's a retired police detective. You're currently a fitness instructor.
Yep. And
you are the president of the Church of the Living Spirit.
Yep.
And so you probably recognize her on the Church of the Living Spirit live streams on Facebook for the Sunday services that go out and all of the wonderful things that the church does. That's my home church.
You'll be speaking at Sunday.
Oh, that's right. This Sunday, February 4th. You can tune in live on Facebook if you'd like on the Church of the Living Spirit Facebook page. And I'll also try to share it later onto my page. And I think it's a great opportunity for you to take part in the church service, for at least that section of it. And certainly if you're able to come in person to the church on Sunday, you'll get the full kit and caboodle of the hymns and the fellowship and the healing. You can sit on a healing bench and receive a healing from one of the spiritual healers of the church. And then I also do a message portion of the service. I'll be serving as the medium as well.
Yay.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning about that. And Nancy also has her own podcast show that started, I don't know, what was it, like a year ago?
Yeah.
And you are on like every other Sunday?
Every other Sunday, yeah. This Sunday on the 4th.
Okay, so yes.
7 o'clock. I'll be live.
So you get a double dose of Nancy this week if you are tuning into the Lilydale Facebook page. And we're part of the Lilydale radio family, although the Blog Talk radio portion is phasing out. So it'll just go out on these kind of platforms, Facebook and YouTube.
Yes.
Yes. But we thought this would be a great topic, and certainly we live in Lilydale full-time year-round. Just maybe a couple of trips a year, but this is where we are, and this is where I raised my family, and I'm just so blessed to have Nancy become my neighbor. How many years ago now?
6 years. 6 years.
Yeah. So like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Nancy,
time flies.
It does, and she keeps her place just so perfect. And it's been great to see how committed you are to helping the Lilydale community and the church, and you're really very aware of the growth that needs to happen here, but also the traditions and keeping spiritualism alive and well.
Yeah. So I think one of the first questions I always get from people is, how many people actually live here year-round? Right. What do you tell people? Because I tell people I think about a third. Do you think that's about right?
I would say a couple hundred people.
No, year-round.
Year-round. Yeah, I would say it depends on that, but yeah, it's probably, it drops to a third of the number of houses.
Right, the number of houses. Yeah,
right.
People. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, because many people have either a summer home here, or they're here for just 6 and 6 because they're snowbirds, and they might go west, or they might go south, they go elsewhere when it's not the season, because in the off season there are no daily events to attend. It's only during the summer season program that runs 9 or 10 weeks out of the year, and that usually starts at the end of June and runs until Labor Day, just depending on how the dates fall. And that's when there are the daily events, there are the gate fees, there are the workshop presenters. It's just a flood of people. We usually have 30,000 people that come through as visitors in the summer season. But the people who have homes here in Lilydale are card-carrying spiritualists. So that means they belong to a spiritualist church.
Accredited spiritualist church.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And they have to be members of the Lilydale Assembly. And anybody who's interested in understanding the membership more, they do have that on the Lilydale Assembly website. And I think it's important to note that in the off season, while there are no daily events to attend, the churches run their own Sunday services, like when I go talk at the church this Sunday. And then there's the Wednesday night Healing Temple service.
Every Wednesday, in person or hybrid. Yes,
absolutely. And I would encourage the folks that are tuning in live to the show right now. You're welcome to submit a question in the comment section of Facebook. If there's something you'd like to ask us, me and Nancy, about living in Lilydale, we'll do our best to answer it. Or if you have your own positive comments and stories that you'd like to share, those would absolutely be welcome in the show. Once we are not live, we're probably not going to answer those questions. So you got to tune in when we're going live this morning in order to benefit from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So also, I think we should make note that some of the people don't live here year-round because some of the houses don't have heat.
That is excellent point. Yeah.
Right.
Like my house had some heat, but you definitely would not have wanted to live in it year-round prior to my ownership because it was going to fall down.
Right. Well, yeah.
It was an absolutely decrepit house, and we've brought it back from the brink of death in my case. And not all homes are like that in Lilydale, but yeah, mine was special that way. But a lot of them are summer cottages.
You're right.
And so they weren't necessarily built to be lived in year-round. Although once Lilydale first officially opened in 1879, there were a small cadre of people that did live here year-round, but most people definitely did not live here year-round. And more people live here year-round now than when it first began,
I believe that.
Of course. And
so it's always referred to as a summer camp.
Exactly. And but we need people who live here year-round because there are a lot of, and we'll probably get into that today, there are a lot of things that happen in the off-season to help make the season happen and also to help run this community.
Yes.
Which kind of brings us to another point. Lilydale, it is the world's largest spiritualist community for the religion of spiritualism, philosophy, the science, all of those things. But it's also its own town. It has its own zip code, its own post office, and so it has to kind of run as a town and as a nonprofit organization.
Right.
And so it's sometimes tricky merging those two things, those elements. It's not like we have a mayor.
Right.
Of our little village. But so we have a board of directors that are part of the nonprofit. But yes, we have our own mail service through the post office boxes, and we've had that for years, hundreds of years. Not post office. But yeah, it's like it must be 120 or 130 years now for the post office at least.
At least, I would say, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you have a balancing act between the town, like a town living, and what happens for spiritualism and the summer program.
Right, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really cool how it all kind of comes together, but we have to work together as community members and really share a voice, but also share the work that's associated with doing that. And not everyone that lives in Lilydale is a medium. Not everyone that lives in Lilydale is a registered medium. So the only people who are allowed to give private readings are those that have the registered medium sign up in front of their house. So keep that in mind when you do visit Lilydale off season or
yeah,
season.
We get that question a lot, too, for sure.
People... Nancy doesn't want anybody knocking on her door or walking into her house. Can I have a reading? It doesn't work that way. You also need to make appointments in advance. It's strongly recommended. Most of us are booked in season and off season.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. So I think it's fun to talk about what we do off season because
Sure.
I do a lot of walking, as you know, and you do a lot of walking too. You and your
Impossible.
husband. So, but at nighttime, especially off season now in the winter, I mean, I'll be out walking at night, and sometimes I'll do 3 miles, and at night, 10 later, and I don't see one person.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't see one person, so it's very. I think it's healing. I think it's peaceful.
Yeah.
I think it's meditative. It's a different feeling here off season than it ever is on season, for sure.
Because there's a lot of the hubbub, and this is a gated community in the summer only, but it's a gated community, so you have to have a gate pass ticket to come in on the grounds, and that ticket price, that gate pass, is really important because that helps this organization to run and be able to offer the services that it does. So that goes away in the off season, and it's very quiet. People are able to just kind of be restive. It's a little bit more of a hibernation time for people.
Right.
But it is lovely to walk around Lilydale. The speed limit is posted as 5 miles per hour, so that should give you a good sense of what that's like, what kind of speed we're living at here. So yeah, no speed demons, please. But it does make it easy for people to come walk. People from the nearby communities, towns come and love to walk in Lilydale.
I see them ride their bicycles around too.
And their bicycles, absolutely. And so it does have a different energy season versus off season.
Now, I will tell you, if you go all the way around Lilydale and up and down each street, it's almost 3 miles long.
Oh, wait, she's calculated that.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, she's got the...
Oh, yeah, I know that. If you go all the way around the outer section of Lilydale, the road, the outer section, that's like a little bit over a mile. But, so we're not very big, per se, but that's not including the walks in the beautiful forest that we have. Yeah. We have a trail that goes through the forest, comes around back to the post office. So that's really nice to do also.
Yeah. Let's see the Leolin Woods when you go out through Inspiration Stump Path. And that's an old growth forest that is protected and will never be timbered. And if a tree falls, it falls and the wood is there, and unless they need to clear the path, that's the only time you're going to hear a chainsaw out there. It's just to move the wood off the path. It's not to be with harvested, if that's the right word, from that. Yeah.
I was just looking at that question. That's so cute.
I'll look into that one for sure. and so, yes, Nancy's been able to calculate that because she's a runner.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, so, I was very concerned when I got here. First of all, I didn't move to Lilydale. I mean, I didn't retire and originally come to Lilydale. I retired and had a house on Lake Erie. I came here by chance. And I tell that story all the time. I came here taking Judith Rochester's Circle, and I remember driving out of here one day saying, I'm moving to Lilydale. I mean, I just had this feeling, and sure enough, it just played itself out so very interestingly enough, including the house. And it would have never been in my plans when I was in Oklahoma living I'm going to go live in Lilydale. That's not how it worked.
Right.
I didn't even know about Lilydale.
And you grew up in
Jamestown
area, so she grew up very close. Like, we're talking half hour, folks.
Yeah.
From Lilydale. Yeah. But that's how sometimes people don't know what's on their doorstep.
Yeah, under their
practically
nose.
Under their nose. And then they find it when they're supposed to.
Right.
And so when you got back from being a police detective, which we've had her on the show before, and she's talked about that world. So look back at the archive videos, type in Nancy Lombardo on my Facebook or YouTube, and you'll find that. But I'm so glad that you decided to settle here, as it were. She's a Lilydale settler.
Yeah, because I just say people were called here. Most of the people you talk to, they'll say the same thing. They're here, and it's like, it wasn't in their cards to move here. They're living in other places. They have really big houses and nice houses, and they end up here in Lilydale. And that's how it becomes such a special, tight-knit community.
And we have all kinds of amazing people that live here. People are very surprised. Last week I had Rick Davis on the show, and he gave us a lovely tour of the Fredonia Opera House. He's the executive director there. He's a resident of Lilydale. And we also have the Chautauqua Youth Ballet director who lives here.
Yes.
The world's strongest man up until last year when he passed, he lived here.
Right.
So John Reinhold.
Very educated
people, business people, accountants. Like, not just mediums, people who are psychologists, people who are like all walks of life, basically. That live here, that under that umbrella of spiritualism and wanting to have fellowship with other people and to really promote those ideals and understandings, and be in the healing place of Lilydale.
And I think being educated, and it helped as far as the free thinkers and the community, like you said, the talking and exploring, and I think that's one of the quaintnesses of being here, to be able to have those conversations with people, open conversations.
Yeah, because so many people don't live or have been raised in a family that talks about these kinds of things, and so when a person has mediumship experiences or healing experiences and they don't have anyone to talk to, Lilydale is that kind of place where you can come and find people who have had similar situations, and people are like, this weird thing happened. I'm like, well, it's not weird, that was normal. And so like they start to recognize that they don't have to fall into the movie and TV hype about spirit contact, that it's not a scary spook and boo kind of thing, that it is actually sacred and healing and uplifting, and that's the kind of place that the Lilydale tries to be for people, to be that spiritual home and a place of pilgrimage.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
I look at it as the people who come annually to Lilydale. It's like their pilgrimage. In medieval times, when people would go to special sacred locations, they felt that pull to be there to, lighten their load,
right,
and go and be among people and take part in services, or be in this place and meditate.
I will say the winter times is not for the ill of heart.
Oh goodness, what did I tell you when I said you just wait for winter? It's one of those things where you either get hardy or you get out.
And it was the very first winter I was here that we got slammed with snow. I mean, slammed, where we ran out of places to put the snow. It was literally up to my waist of throwing the snow. And honestly, Willa, if it hadn't have been for you living here full time, because we're up here on the corner by ourselves full time, and it really got me through. I mean, that still gets me through knowing that you're here full time, because sometimes I'm just like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. Yeah. It's hard. It could be sad and depressing, because for some reason, we get a lot of snow here, right here in Lilydale.
Well, on the ridge. Because of the Chautauqua Ridge, the snow converges. So we are a snowmobiler's paradise.
Yeah. And I always tell myself, if I could just get outside the gate to Dale Drive, and even down to Fredonia, it's a whole different world.
Fredonia is like a different weather pattern.
Yeah, you have to bring different clothes.
There's a line of demarcation that's on Route 60, right around where Route 83 converges.
Yes.
And you can literally see that line of demarcation. Snow, no snow.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like we're in the snow globe, and then we've stepped out of the snow globe. So yes, be prepared for snow. Make sure you have the right kind of car. Make sure you have the right kind of gear. We're talking, I'm your mom right now. Wear your hats, your gloves, your scarf, your hat, your boots, your extra thick socks, all of that.
And people don't understand that our roads do not get plowed by city plows. No. Have they ever? Oh. You've been here a lot longer than me. Yeah. So we have a truck that plows, with the regular plow that's on there. So they don't get plowed as good. This year they've been really decent.
We've lucked out because there has been a lot of snow during certain sections.
Right.
So that's been like, you're kind of nice. But we knew we'd get hit. January.
Yeah, and it did.
We did. And as Nancy said, there isn't anywhere to put the snow. If you've been to Lilydale, you know the houses are close together. And the roads are very narrow because originally they weren't built for cars.
Right, and they kept them the same size even when we went through the remodeling of the water.
Yes.
They kept the roads the same size.
Exactly. So that's something to keep in mind if you're interested in living in Lilydale. Just be prepared for the fact that you're going to kind of feel snowed in. And the weather gets a bit Ethan Frome, if you know what that is from Edith Wharton's book. It could be a little stark. It can be really pretty. There are days where the snow is on there and it's just a brilliant coating of white.
And it is beautiful.
And it's gorgeous. But then you also have the gray days. So just be aware that it's not easy to get around. It can be slushy, it can be icy, all of those things. Cold, come where?
That's what I said. We don't get, I don't think we get 100 inches, but we get a lot of inches.
We're very similar to Buffalo in our weather.
Yeah.
Some years we're worse than Buffalo. Some years Buffalo's worse than us. It just depends on the year. But that's standard. I grew up in this area myself, and I remember as a child the fierce snows. And so this is like nothing new.
But for someone like me that came to Oklahoma,
it was
a lot. It's just a lot
like,
if you're not used to it.
Like no snow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So you had to become a snow bunny pretty fast.
Really fast.
And yes, so
and sometimes you're out there 3 times a day shoveling.
That can happen.
Just to get out my back door, because if not, the snow piles up and you can't get out of your house, and that's really suffocating.
I do tell clients that come. The snow gets so bad. This is my snow is so bad story here. What happens is we have to put barriers up on the porch to keep the snow off the porch. Otherwise, we're not going to get out our door. But what happens is the snow mounds up so much that there are years where it is the mound as equal with the porch roof. Literally, we go out the window and onto the huge heap mound of snow, which my kids over the years have loved.
Yeah, because I see them sliding down it. It's that tall. They're sliding down, and it's right outside our door.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and there have been years where the snow has been pushed up near the picnic pavilion.
Yes.
Where it's been so high. We're talking probably almost the height of 2 grown men, and the kids have walked along the ridge of that. So yeah, it just depends. So snow and the winter can last a long time here in Lilydale. We have been known to get snow as early as Columbus Day, which is mid-October, all the way into May.
Yeah,
so I'm not trying to scare you, but that is the reality,
yeah.
And that we can have that. So when our summer, we're so grateful for our summer that we got a couple months of the sun and the warm and everything.
Right. So school buses do come, but they stop outside the gate. Yes. They don't come in the gate.
They can't come through the roads and try to beat the snow on that one. So. No. The families have to get their kids to the bus stop and pick them up from the bus stop every day. So that's the morning and the afternoon, what it looks like for people who are residents of Lilydale to have children here.
Yeah, someone also asked if we allow motorbike. I think they mean motorcycles in Lilydale, and no.
No, you have to actually have permission from the Lilydale Assembly, and it's for residents just to get their motorcycle to their home. And it's not for people to go up and down the streets, because this is a quiet community. I mean, people are trying to meditate, have readings, that sort of thing. And motorcycles are fun, but they have to get parked at the gate, and then you're going to have to walk.
Yeah, people don't understand that also. The quiet time we have during season, because people always comment about how quiet it is when they're walking around here during season, and the reason is because we have quiet time during season, meaning you're not going to see people doing construction on their houses.
That's right.
They're not allowed to do outside construction on their houses. Only off season can they get that done. So as soon as the gates come up and season closes, you'll see lots of work vehicles here. Yeah. Everybody working on their houses.
They're desperate before the snow comes.
Before the snow, yeah, you're right. Let's try to get it done before the snow.
You're totally desperate.
There's a very little window for them to get their roofs fixed, just all that stuff. So yeah, we have quiet time. Even mowing, you won't hear people like mowing during the day. You try to keep that later or on weekends when you know there's not a lot going on. So that we do have quiet time in it, and it's unlike any other place you've probably ever been to, because most people, they just do whatever they want to do when they want to do it.
Right. But, people try to be conscious of the fact that they chose to live in Lilydale, which is going to have those kind of special parameters, and that they get the benefits of that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful. When I first bought my house here, because it's right next to the fire hall, 6 o'clock every day, that whistle would go off. And I am so grateful in modern technology days that doesn't have to go off, because we couldn't have a little alfresco dinner outside. It would, if my kids were down for a nap when they were young, it would wake them up. Right. And so it's just one of those things. So I have to say, I am very grateful that no longer exists. But
it's so funny you say that, though, because people like, do you know when you bought that house, you're right across the street from the fire station? Because the fire station still uses the old system of the horn alarm, what do you want to call that?
Yeah, the siren.
The siren.
The siren will go off.
The siren goes off to notify the volunteer fire department that there's a call. They still use it. Casadega still uses it. So sometimes we'll hear both of the sirens going off.
That's true.
And it does blare right through my window,
blare.
But when I first got here, it's like, oh my God, and I have a cat, and we're just, But now it
goes off. The cat was on the ceiling.
Now it goes off. If I'm in the middle of the night and I hear it, I'm like, oh, the alarm's going off, and I fly right back to sleep with it going blaring in
Unless
my
you have a kid that you're trying to keep asleep, it's no big whoop. But I will tell you, the neighbor who lived there before you, they were falling a lot, the elderly couple, and they were falling, and so it was almost like a daily occurrence. The siren would go off. Oh no, they fell again. It was like, and they needed to get places in the ambulance because of that. So, yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's a good point to make, is with the roads in the winter too. As far as that, ambulances do get here, fire trucks get here.
Yes, they do.
Sometimes it's hard for them to get through. That's why they try to keep the roads as plowed as they can.
And we're very grateful for our volunteer fire company. That is an important thing to keep going. And they do respond to calls that are happening outside of Willa. So just because you hear the siren doesn't mean that somebody's, man down in Lilydale or something. It could be that they're responding to outside calls that are going on. And, we just send love and light whenever the siren goes to whoever needs it at that particular time. And that's what I use that for.
Right.
And yes, we're grateful for it.
I'm also grateful sometimes, like I said, off season, and it just gets to be us, and then on season, there's so many people. But to hear the people's stories about how they love Lilydale and how Lilydale makes them feel, it always brings back to home how special it is for me to live here.
Yes.
It reminds me of that.
Yes.
Because sometimes you forget when you get in the midst of the 10 feet of snow.
Right.
Or you get in the midst of it's so quiet and there's nothing to do and I'm bored. Because there are those moments.
Sure. Just like with anything in life. But you could have been bored in Oklahoma.
And I got to drive 10 miles to Walmart.
Right.
But then people remind you of how special this place is, and it's like, you're
because
right.
They don't have that, and where they live, they just wish they had that kind of experience. Now, the thing to keep in mind is, by and large, this is a community of sensitives.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And sensitives do need their solitude time, so it's not like everybody's always in each other's houses. There's a lot of people honoring those kind of privacies. There are friendships that form. There are mediumship circles that form, and you just have to let things evolve in terms of friendship and the attraction that's associated with it. So it's not like there's a huge social club that's happening in the off season, but it's great to know that people have their churches that they can go to, because there's more than one church in Lilydale, and they stay active throughout the year,
and classes and
have classes, and so people have those kinds of things. But don't expect if you live here that you're going to have instant friends, instant social kind of things. It's really not built that way. It's not like we have a social center. We're not like a retirement community that has bingo, off-season and bars, and there's no local watering hole in the off-season, because the restaurants
and actually
close down.
All the restaurants, they're not allowed to sell alcohol.
That's right. We're a dry community. You can have alcohol in your own home privately, but it's not something that you're gonna see people with beer bottles out and about. That's just how that is.
Yeah. And I'm good with that.
Yeah, and we don't have to deal with a lot of mixing spirits with spirits, because we don't want to do that. The other part of that is you really want people to bring their sober, sacred, joyous self to a reading and to interfacing with spirit. And so that's very much a part of honoring that process of spirit communication and mediumship, and also healing, when you want to earnestly bring yourself to a process rather than let's poke fun at this, let's have that kind of entertainment feel. This Lily Dale's not about that.
Right, and I think you're right. You don't want to be mind altered in any way, shape, or form, so you can enjoy the whole experience.
Yes. And many people, they say they can feel the change in the vibration. As soon as they turn on to Dale Drive, there's a sense of peace that comes over them. And then when they get to the gates of Lily Dale, it's like, oh, I'm here, I'm home. And I still feel that way.
I do too. Yeah, I can feel it. I just got back from out of town, and there is a sense of the difference when you come through that gate. And I always say it's because people have been sharing and practicing and the movement of energy for 145 years now. It's going to be.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Going on our 145th year in this community. And how many communities can say that they do this? I don't think anybody.
It's very rare for this to be continuing on as long as it has. And it's really, it's an honor to be here. And we do stand on the shoulders of giants. And the Assembly Hall, which is where the Church of the Living Spirit is in the off-season, you can see this array of folks of the past that are still very present for us, that pop in and out to check in on things and, really want to support spiritualism from the other side. And so we do have the two worlds that are here. And we do have to honor going forward what the work that they put into that and keep spiritualism strong and keep Lilydale strong. And that's why we appreciate all of you. The continued interest in Lilydale, but also you're wanting to see the best come out of those things. And so we do need people who are willing to work for that.
Yes.
That are willing to serve in different capacities. Usually a lot of things happen in the off season to make the season happen.
Yeah, and I like to make note about how much pride and people take in their properties here in Lilydale before season, and setting up gardens and all the tchotchke they put out in there. And I'm just bad. I store it all in the winter and bring it all out in the summer.
Yeah,
but,
some people are go above and beyond.
But they do it all for themselves, I'm sure. But for the community, for people that come and visit, for the quaintness of it.
Absolutely, they do.
And the beauty of it. And we even have they have a contest for the best gardens.
Oh, they do
every year
because we have master gardeners, and they're part of what is that called?
Yeah, I can't think of it.
It's slipping our minds right now, but y'all know who you are if you're listening. It's kind of fun to see the bloom. Yes, that's what it is. Yes. They have a bloom contest for people's gardens. I guess before we get into some of the off-season stuff that has to go on to help the season happen, people were asking about, and I'm only seeing some of the comments, so I apologize. People were asking about where children go to school. So Cassadaga Valley is the school district, so Cassadaga Valley Central Schools, and they have the school is based in St. Clairville. They have an elementary in one section, and then they'll have the high school in another one, and that's where kids that are attending public school. There are children that attend private school and are also homeschooled, and those are different education options for kids.
And I don't think kids get bored. I just came from out of town, and I was in a neighborhood where there were all sorts of kids outside playing, and I loved that. I thought, they're not on their computers, they're not on their cell phone, they're actually outside playing. Right. I mean, you were instrumental, I believe, in putting the playground in at the Lyceum for the kids.
The playground was already there. We did some refurbishment of the playground, and I was definitely headed up the committee during that time. For a number of years. I haven't been on it for a while now, but we did raise money to refurbish things. And listen, the children are our future. So if anybody's looking to donate to Lilydale in different ways, it would really be great, because we do need new play equipment up there. The equipment has aged to such a degree. New wood chips need to be put down for fall protection for the kids. things like that are really necessary that sometimes get ignored in all of this. So I would encourage people to put that forward, because we want to attract more families and young people, and the kids need a place to let some of that energy out.
Yeah.
They have the Lyceum building, and they used to run throughout the season a summer program, and in the off season, during Sunday services, the kids would have Lyceum, which is their Sunday school. That's kind of fallen by the wayside, and COVID really took it down in its knees. So we're really trying to get that built up eventually. I can't have that sort of thing up right now because of the stage of life I am in. But other people, if that's of interest to you, please know that would be appreciated very much if you could put some either money, time, effort toward rebuilding that, because that is very, very needed. We need programming for our youth, and we need a place for them to be, because their families are enjoying, the other adult members of the family are enjoying readings and going to services and workshops and things like that. And it's good if the kids have a place to be as well.
Right.
And I will mention there is usually a week-long program for kids. It's Children's Week and Teens Week that Lilydale runs in the summer season. And we're grateful that happens, but it'd be great to have even more.
So they have the playground. You'll see a lot of the kids riding their bicycles around for sure.
Kids ride the bikes.
Yeah, they just play.
It's nice for them to be in the woods, and then of course when you raise kids, they're in all kinds of other activities.
Right.
And so my children have done swim lessons at the Casadega Beach, and they different scouts and like all kinds of different activities that they're involved in that have to take them to. So almost every night is like, going somewhere. But that's the stage of life I'm in. So they do have opportunities to connect with the neighboring communities and to be part of the county and to be part of the nation as well. So yes, they have the benefit of living in Lilydale, but they also connect with other people outside.
And I think that's a good point to make with adults too, that many people here, they're just not here working here as their job. Very few can actually live as a medium. They have outside jobs. If they're leaving,
if
they're going to work.
Rich, being a medium,
they're working, and then they're coming back home to Lilydale. I mean,
that's right.
I even teach in a fitness center outside of Lilydale. So yeah, you have your life, and then you come home to Lilydale.
That's right. So people are out in the community doing things.
Yes.
And it's such a good point that not everybody here is a medium, and so they're busy having their work, having their career, being invested in sometimes either other nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like what I was talking about before of some of the folks that live here. And there are people who are legit retired from all of those things, and then what they tend to funnel their energy in is committees involved in helping to support Lilydale that happen in the off season. So programming committee and doing things to better Lilydale in terms of the environment, or wanting to do things that are going to assist not just the Lilydale Assembly Board, but residents and visitors. So they might take on projects because we need those volunteers to paint this or rake leaves, or there are all kinds of all and sundry that's involved with that.
Because we have a lot of property in Lilydale that's not kept up by residents. Residents themselves have very small pieces of property. If you've walked around Lilydale, you'll see. I'm very lucky because I have an extra lot next to me.
It's gorgeous.
So many people don't. Many people don't even have a place to park their cars.
I have a postage stamp lawn. I remember putting a sandbox in the front yard. People who probably walk by, they would see a sandbox because that's all my kids had for playing in, unless they were at the playground or at the beach or those kinds of places.
Right. You're right. So as a community, sometimes they take on projects also to take care of some of the other pieces of land to make it look nice also for when the visitors get here, because there's a lot of land.
And Lilydale, there's a lot that goes into it. The maintenance that's involved with the buildings, with the areas that people are going to for the message services and the healing temple. They had that huge refurbishment they had to do some years back now.
Because all this stuff is winterized. Because we have such harsh winters. Because of the freezing pipes, or whatever, it all has to be winterized. And then it all has to be unwinterized to get ready for people like the hotels.
And we're really grateful we have year-round residents that are running the water, because otherwise there would be frozen pipes. And when people arrive to open things up for the season, they would have horrible surprises. So,
we've seen that, sadly.
Yes,
they come back to their houses, horrible
when they haven't done things to winterize it appropriately. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And so there are a lot of things that happen in the off season to make the season possible. And it is beautiful that people do come together to make that happen. And some people, I think they just think Lily Dale just runs on itself.
Right, yeah.
But spiritualists, as a rule, are not an organized group. We may be an organized religion, but we're not organized.
Right. But I like
as a group. Individually, we can be very organized.
I like what you said, though, because people might not understand that there are a lot of subcommittees. There's the Lily Dale Board of Directors, and then there's all these subcommittees that basically organize, arrange, and run everything that's going to get ready to happen for Lily Dale when we open. Yes.
And so we always need help doing those things, and we've been really... It's amazing how generous people are with their time. I mean, some people, it's literally hours and hours they spend as a volunteer.
Yeah, hours and
doing
hours.
Things to better Lily Dale. And it can get frustrating because you're like, oh my gosh, if I were to get paid for this, I'd be a millionaire. But you do it because you love Lily Dale.
Right.
Do it because you love Lily Dale. And that's, I do these shows. This volunteer.
Right.
So it's one of those things
to help educate people too, so that they understand what we are, because we're not a cult.
No,
we hear that a lot. We're not a cult. We are religion.
Yes.
And we are just a community of people that have a certain set of beliefs.
Yes.
And we try to live our lives peacefully.
We do.
In harmony.
We're human. We're human, just like any town that has the pa.
Yeah.
You know, Lily Dale has its pa. But there's also this sacred vibration that people can really get into, and let me tell you, it's just so beautiful when you can sense when somebody's in that space, right, and that you're able to commune with them in that way. And I think that's what keeps us coming back, but also really enjoying living here in Lily Dale.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely. I apologize. I'm missing some of the comments. They're not all popping up. So I'm trying to check back and see if we missed anything, because I know our time will be coming up soon here.
Sometimes it's almost hard for me to get used to when season's going on, and then all of a sudden the very next day season closes. Because it's like you get used to the restaurants being open, you get used to people walking around,
and then it's
you
like
get used
they
to
roll the
vibration.
carpets up.
It's like they turn a light switch off, and then it's like, oh, we're back to this again.
There's like people, no people.
Even the people that don't live here year round, I mean, they pack their stuff up pretty darn quick and leave out of here pretty quick, and it's just so instant, and that you have to. So it's a real adjustment, I think, period.
Oh my gosh.
Before and after.
Yeah, and it's like a bittersweet thing. You're kind of like, because the season's like a marathon.
Yeah.
There's something to do every minute of the day. Summer. And then all of a sudden, it's bittersweet. You're like, I kind of miss them, but it's like company's gone.
Yeah, right. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, exactly. And the restaurants close and there's nowhere to go eat. We got to actually go back to our regular.
That's right. Let's see, who should one talk to about living there year-round, different housing options, and rental properties? So, in order to live here year-round, you want to be a member of the Lily Dale Assembly.
You have to be a member of a church for 1 year.
There you go.
And then you have to join the assembly. Mm-hmm. And then you have to apply, actually, to buy a house here. It's not just a given.
That's right.
There's a process that the board has to approve. There are houses listed for sale on the Lily Dale Assembly Inc. web page.
Yeah. LillardaleAssembly.org, actually.
.org, yes.
And there, how to buy a house, there's a link for that.
Yes.
And then you can look at the houses for sale once you're a member.
There's not a whole lot of rental. We get that a lot. People mainly want to rent properties during season, and you won't find a lot of that.
No, there's not. It's very limited.
And there's very limited houses that are just for rent here. Very limited.
True.
Also.
True. It's very true.
Because people want to rent a place, and also even to rent a place, you have to be a member of a church.
Yes, and there are rental fees that are associated with assessments for Lilydale, and all of those kinds of things that are part of that. And there are guest houses if you want to stay for a few days or a week or a couple weeks, that can accommodate those kinds of things.
Yes.
But if you're wanting to be here in the season for the whole shebang, you're going to have to probably buy a house or make special arrangements.
Yeah, it's just difficult.
But you don't hear tell of that very often.
No, you don't.
That'd be how I would put that to you. And during the off season, sometimes people are willing to do a little bit more of that if they're the ones that go away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it all has to be approved. Like I said, we definitely have policies and procedures, and a big book of policies and procedures in place here at the Lilydale Assembly that you have to abide by and follow.
Someone says, can you let the listeners know how we could volunteer? Absolutely. So let's say you want to volunteer for the 2:30 afternoon service to be an usher. Then you want to reach out to the Lilydale Assembly office. You can give them a call, and the contact information is on the website, but I'll give you the phone number, 716-595-8721. Again, 716-595-8721. If you're interested in being a workshop coordinator, because we need workshop coordinators. A workshop coordinator is going to be one who greets people who come for the workshop as students and gets them signed in, or looks at the registration list and marks them off, takes their money, that sort of thing. Maybe has to run as a gopher sometimes for the workshop presenter. It just depends on what's needed. There are big name people that come in, usually on the weekends, that we need a lot more staffing for versus maybe just 2 people for during the week workshop. It just depends. But yes, they're looking for workshop volunteers.
I think they have over 160 workshops this summer in place, not including the highlights. So that's a lot of workshops and a lot of people they'll be needing. Now, we do have some paid employees.
Yes, we do.
But most of the people you'll see, especially working at the workshops, are all volunteers.
Absolutely. And so for Sunday services, you can help serve as a healer, or you have to make arrangements with that church.
Yes.
Usually they're wanting people to be certified in their program, and so you would need to check into those kinds of things. In terms of volunteering in other ways, like help clean up, there's usually a pre-season cleanup. Maybe they're trying to get the last schnibbly bits of winter damage to the gardens taken care of, or painting a building, or if there are all those kinds of things.
Yeah, a lot of times you probably have to be more of a local to.
You have to be more of a local for those kinds of things.
And like they have volunteers set up the ferry trail.
That's right.
But they'll put a sign out at the post office saying, "Here's the date. If you want to show up, show up." So anybody could show up, but honestly, you're going to have to be here to know when that is. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah. So the opportunities to help out is mainly if you're here in person.
If you're here in person, and those are the capacities they typically would need. Volunteers they're living here or not living here, in terms of the 2:30, wouldn't you say, and the workshops.
Yes. And a lot of times they're here, going to take a workshop, and then they're going to stay a little longer, and they can help out at a workshop.
Yes, that's right.
So that works out.
Right. And if you're a workshop coordinator, you get to come in free for that day because you're working.
Right.
You're working, you're volunteering, but it only counts for that day.
And also all the healers at the Healing Temple, which the Healing Temple runs twice a day during season. Yes. Those are all volunteer healers.
They are.
They're complete volunteer healers. Barbara Sanson will be doing the Healing Temple again this year, and I'm sure she will be arms open for people that have been certified as healers to help out at the Healing Temple.
Does Lilydale live stream any services? No, not during the summer. Do they don't live stream the services?
Yes, our church does.
Except for the
churches do.
The churches run their Sunday services.
Sunday services
for the lecture portion of it, but they won't stream the 2:30 service. The workshops are not live streamed. During COVID, they had to do a few Zoom kind of workshops in the summer, but that's no longer. That was a lot of work to have a tech person do all of those things. But now they don't do that sort of thing. It's very much a in-person. Wednesday nights, I think they still, in the off season and in the season, they still do the Wednesday nights online.
Live, yes.
Live stream it on Facebook.
We do have a beach. Last year it was not open, right? Did we have lifeguards?
We did not have lifeguards last year. I really hope we have lifeguards this year. It would be wonderful. Yeah. Usually that was open 11 to 6. 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
You like to go down to the beach for sure.
Yeah, and it just hasn't been open the last few summers. Hey, if you want to donate money to pay for lifeguards,
we'll take
please
that.
help us. Because this lake is amazing. The Cassadaga Lakes Association has done an incredible job keeping it natural, but also making sure that pollutants don't come in and really making sure that watersheds are protected. And it is a natural spring-fed lake. So it's always kind of bubbling with wonderful, fresh spring water.
Yeah.
And when you're in the water, you can feel pockets, just like oh, there's the worm pocket. Oh, there's a cold. Well, this is where the cold spring water is coming up, and it's a beautiful lake to kayak on.
Yes.
And there is a kayak rental, not in Lilydale, but in Cassadaga for people who are interested in that sort of thing. That I think probably would do it mainly from May to maybe squeaky into October. I think that's Blue. Is it Blue Canoe? Blue Canoe Rentals? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it is called that.
Yeah. So, and then you might see the occasional pontoon boat. You might see the little fisherman's boats.
It's a regulated lake as far as what vessel you can have on it.
That's right. And you can't really launch boats from Lilydale. There is a boat launch, which is across the bridge, which is where, if you've followed my show before, we've talked about the train station and the Irondequoit Hotel. That's where the boat launch is, where the Irondequoit Hotel used to be.
And it's very cool because you mentioned the lake, and we do have the best of both worlds here, because not only do we have a beautiful lake that we can just walk down the street, or if you live by the lake, but we have the woods.
Yes.
And how many people can say that?
I know. We have a choice. When we step out of the house, we can go to the woods or go down to the lake. And we do have a lovely swan. We used to have more swans.
Yeah.
But there was, in fact, many decades ago, there was a swan keeper and a swan house, and we had many more swans sailing on the lake. But now we have one swan still, and it's always like a lovely sight.
That lives here year round.
Yes, year round through the winter.
Yeah.
Tough guy.
Because I don't even know how he eats when the water freezes.
Well, they do. There's someone who does feed him the official swan food. Do not feed birds bread and those kinds of things. That has to be an official swan meal.
And we have a lot of animals around here too. We have deer that walk the streets. A couple of weeks ago, I was out walking, and a whole herd came out from behind one of the houses and ran across. I guess I startled them, and they startled me, because it was an entire herd. But many times you'll see just the deer just roaming around the streets, and I think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful, and they feel pretty safe here because you obviously can't hunt on this property, but it's really sweet to see the different animals that happen. Occasionally there's a bear.
Yes, we have had a bear. Yes. Yes, we have had a bear. Yes.
But
fox,
only every few years.
Lately we have a fox that we've been having a lot of sightings of.
And I would just put this out there: please don't feed the animals. They need to be animals; they're wildlife. So please don't try to. We're not trying to domesticate any of the wildlife in that sense. So we do put out bird feeders, but we have to take them down just in case that bear is going to happen. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a bird feeding season also.
Yes, we do. We have to do that for the safety of everyone in that. Let's see. Any other questions people have? Because I know we're going to close out our podcast for today, and I apologize if I missed any questions. Sometimes I'm seeing some, and sometimes I am not. But a lot of great comments, and I really appreciate people tuning in today. And
yeah, had a nice turnout.
It really is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would have been cool to put in there.
We would just, of course, open our arms to anybody that wants to visit, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And many times you'll see a lot of the residents. I mean, I'm outside working in my yard all the time, and there are many people outside, and they're always willing to answer your questions, to talk to you.
Yeah, where's the bathroom? Where's Yeah, that's it.
We like to talk, and we like to...
Sometimes there aren't bathrooms open in off-season, so just be aware and make your plans accordingly to go out up the gates. Yeah, because the private homes are not going to open up for bathrooms. So just be aware that it's not set up like that it's all welcome center. Someday I hope we have a welcome center.
They've talked about it a lot, for sure. Yeah, that'd be nice.
But we want that. But it's kind of like it's kind of like Yosemite is closed because it's winter. Right. Certain sections.
You're right.
But it's not passable.
It's beautiful when it's beautiful, and feel free to come on season, off season.
The season, everything is green and lush and growing and busting out all over with color and vibrancy. And then we have, lovely summer rains that come, but it's really a different kind of world versus the off season where it's kind of like, it's like people haven't put the makeup on, right. Nothing's set. People don't have their flowers out. It's that kind of a situation. So just keep that in mind if you decide to come in the off season. I've had, on my show, I featured different buildings of Lilydale. So you can go back and look at the archive videos for the tour of the auditorium, the tour of the Maplewood Hotel,
Museum.
The tours of the Lilydale Museum with our historian Ron Nagy. And so if you're wanting to know more about the history and about our buildings and those kinds of things, certainly look back. I've been doing a lot over the last few years here to educate people. And I kind of look at them as time capsules too, because people go back and binge watch the shows and they let me know that they learned a lot about Lilydale and about mediumship and about healing, because I do feature those things on the show regularly.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
you do.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today, and thank you, Nancy, for being here. We really appreciate it. It was a fun chat.
Now we have far to go to leave.
I know. She's like poof
right
next
home. Door.
It's like a 0-minute commute.
Even brought my slippers.
That's right. I told her, bring your cozy slippers. That's another thing. A lot of the houses do not have basements.
No, but not.
You're not gonna have a basement most of the time.
Which is unusual because a lot of the houses outside the gate all have basements.
Yeah, so you're gonna make an assumption about it. Again, think about summer cottage. This is more of a summer cottage.
Think about we used to be Tent City.
Yes, tents. You used to have tents. You could canvas tents. So, all right, let us know you love the show, and thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate all of you, and we look forward to a wonderful season ahead. And next week, before I forget this, next week I will have on my show Dr. Brenda Hawkins, and we are going to be talking about mediumship and the stages of grief. And I think it's going to be a great, great show. So please tune in next week here on Facebook, Willa White Medium, at 10 a.m. Eastern here. And I will be talking at the church. Just in case anybody missed what we said at the beginning.
And my show Sunday night is at 7 o'clock. It'll be on the Lilydale Assembly Inc. Facebook page live. And I have my special guest this week. Her name is C.L. Thomas. Okay. And she's an author. She wrote a book. And she originally went through like hauntings as a child, but she has changed that mindset into mediumship and sees it in a whole different light. So we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, that's important to switch those kinds of mindsets, because how you decide to view something is how you will see it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
so beautiful. Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.